Having wandered in the woods all her life, Beth Foster has learned that sometimes you can go further by sitting quietly in one place and watching the wonder unfold. As a nature and forest therapy guide and trail certification consultant, she delights in guiding others to an awareness, understanding, and deeper appreciation of the healing power of nature as a tool for peace and prosperity. Welcome, Beth.
Thanks, Tory. Lovely to be here.
So to start, can you tell us a bit about your background and your interest in mental health and self-care?
Sure. I've been a person who knew that to feel better all my life, I've needed to go outside. So that has been my happy place. For many years, I was a high school teacher, and towards the end of my career, I was a drama teacher working in a black room, all black, no windows, and a guidance counselor working in a brick room with no windows. By noon, everything ached, eyes, head, body, back, but I was fortunately near a green space, so I started wandering in the woods at lunch, 20 minutes, and I immediately felt better. I was able to problem solve. I was able to be alert and energetic in the afternoon. At one point, someone said, "You're forest bathing." Like everyone else, I laughed. What's that? Started researching it and realized that's what I was doing. That's what I've always loved. That's what has always made me feel better. And then I decided to become a guide.
So what is forest bathing?
Forest bathing literally is a translation of a Japanese word, Shinrin-Yoku, which means to bathe in the essence of the forest. We are lucky because in Barrie we have our showpiece park is Sunnydale Park. It's almost 50 acres. It's a protected green space, recreational day use, and that's what I call that my home park. I traditionally guide there a lot, but we also have Springwater Park on the edge of town, and we have, I think, 180 parks in Barrie, and I'm actually guiding in many of them. We just need a quieter forest canopy, a little bit removed from, as much removed as possible from noises generated by humans like cars and leaf blowers. So Barrie is rich in the availability of forest bathing places.
And how has it helped you? What's one experience that really stands out for you?
Certainly how it's helped me was during COVID, when so many of us were isolated, and as a person who needs to be outside and where there were invitations to shelter in place, I would still go outside walking on my own. At that point, the Association of Nature and Forest Therapy Guides that I was certified through started recognizing that guides were struggling because we're all nature-based people, and they started just among the guide population offering virtual guides. So virtual guided forest bathing experiences. So in one, for instance, I was being guided by a person on the 18th floor of an apartment building where she had been for 2 weeks. She saw nothing green out her window, but she could see the wind blowing through the laundry on her neighbor's balcony. And so certainly virtual forest bathing, which sounds contradictory, has been huge.
Okay.
But getting back into the woods since COVID has been wonderful.
And how accessible is forest bathing for people with mobility disabilities?
Yeah. It's very accessible. A typical forest bathing walk would be in 2 to 3 hours. You would only go 1 kilometer, but they can be done in a garden. I've done them in Sunnydale Park Gardens, in the Royal Botanical Gardens, where people who have mobility issues are able to just sit. They can sit by a tree, by a plant, by some flowers, and if they can look at the sky and touch and smell some of the natural things that are around them, that makes it wonderful. Similarly, if you can't even get out of your house, you can work, you can do, you can get that connection with nature, which is what the forest bathing walk is really about. You can get that sitting in a chair, looking out a window, looking at clouds, looking at a bird or an insect or something outside your window.
What did you bring here, Beth? Perhaps you
I
can
brought stuff
show.
that many people have just sitting on their desks or at home. I brought a little piece of cedar, which I just love and cedar's considered sacred by many cultures, not just First Nations in Canada. I love to smell it, but I can engage with all my senses through a piece of cedar because it's been something that I've loved all my life. Just smelling it immediately calms me down. But I also brought a shell, a pine cone, a rock, a piece of birch bark, a feather, and they are all things that many of us collect when we're on holidays because we love those things. And you can experience connection with nature through those things that may just be sitting on a bookshelf.
So for me, as someone who's not tried it before, what would be an entry-level invitation that you would offer?
An entry-level invitation, I will give it to you right now, would be to look at this piece of cedar, and if you're comfortable, I would invite you to close your eyes and then to just explore it with your fingertips. Notice the textures, notice the smooth bits, notice the pointy bits. And if you want, you could rub it on the back of your hand or on your face just to notice a difference in the texture. Even notice the part of the stem, how that feels, and imagining what you think that would look like if you had never seen it. You can also smell that piece. You can give it a little nibble because cedar is, if you want, it's healthy. It's rich in vitamin C. I often make tea out of it on a forest bathing walk. So that is a way that you could engage with a piece of cedar. You could engage with a strawberry in the same ways. You could touch it. You could smell it. You could taste that. You could rub it on your skin if you don't mind getting red stuff on your face. And even listening, you could crinkle that or make a little breeze in front of your ear, and all your senses would have been engaged.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Beth, and giving these great ideas for how to access self-care and forest bathing no matter where we live.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me, Tory.